All right, we are going to get started. We have a bunch of folks on the line. Thank you so much for joining. I am Kelly Trott, Senior Director here at Imagine H2O, working on all things deployment. I am joined by my colleague, Tom Ferguson.
Hi, everyone.
The VP of Programming. Might be a familiar voice to many of those on the line.
Yeah, it's probably quite annoying by now.
This is a webinar to really tell you guys everything you need to know about the Urban Water Challenge 2019 and tell you quite quickly since we only have an hour. This is really an opportunity to help everyone on the line, not only just kind of from the application point of view, but really be thinking about your business, because this application reflects how we think you should be thinking through your company. And I think the best piece of advice Tom told me that he's ever received, or feedback, was, I got more out of your application process than I did in my previous 2 accelerators combined, from an anonymous 2018 applicant.
Absolutely. Loved it.
And we really hope that this process will help you frame your strategy and approach your business regardless of the outcome. So today we're going to give you a little welcome, a little bit about Imagine H2O, a lot about the challenge, walk you through the application, and then get into questions. And I want to be clear here on how questions will work. It really gets super messy if we try to let people speak on the conference line, since there's so many folks. So please use that question dialog box. You can shoot us a question at any point throughout this presentation, and then we will be using that box to answer questions at the end. I am sorry that you can't ask specifically, but this is just the way it works a lot better, and it will help us move faster. Also, please note that there will be a recording of this session for future reference, as we are going to move quite quickly. So first and foremost, we want to thank our founding challenge partners. These 2 are the people that make this thing happen. 11th Hour Racing has a focused global philanthropy around clean water and clean oceans. And Blue Water is a Swedish company at the forefront of filtration. They have bunch of philanthropic and commercial efforts around no plastics and clean drinking water. Last year, they committed over $750,000 in grants and investments to the challenge winners. Really shows you how committed they are. They've been fantastic partners throughout this process. So here's a little bit about Imagine H2O. Some on the line might be familiar and be rolling their eyes about this presentation, but others might be new about it, and we want to kind of give you a bit of an overview about us. So we are a 501c3. Our mission is to empower people to develop and deploy innovation to solve water challenges globally. And we really think about doing this through building an impact engine. It starts with our accelerator or accelerator services in the Urban Water Challenge lens. And then we see that we're having a direct impact on companies and entrepreneurs. That's through mentorship, that's through introductions, that's through helping you think through your business model. And with that direct impact, we want you to solve these water challenges faster. And then we see the entrepreneurs, yourselves, as having an impact on your ecosystem, whether that ecosystem is ecosystem health, wastewater treatment, drinking water, etc. Could be anything. So what's shaken out from this is that we're pretty good at it. We've been around for 10 years. We've worked with over 100 startups. The survival rate of those startups is 75%, which is quite high. We represent over 30% of early stage investment in water for 2017 and 2018. 2019 is looking quite good as well. And we work with over 60 partners globally that are a network of people that can be mentors as well as deployment partners and really thought leaders in the space. We have a great quote from Savon, who's been part of the accelerator twice with 2 different companies. And now we're going to get into the meat about why you guys are here today. The Urban Water Challenge. So this is the 2nd year that we are focused on urban water and doing a challenge around it, because it's one of those super hard problems that needs solutions now to reach our Sustainable Development Goal 6. And what are we looking for? We're looking for, in broad themes here, drinking water, which could be everything but is not limited to, alternative supply, distributive access and delivery, testing and monitoring. Our second theme is water reuse and recycling. This could include treatment and nutrient recovery, green infrastructure, stormwater, and flood management. And the third is ecosystem health, emerging contaminants, testing and monitoring, coastal and river revitalization. So what is the process? We're running right now the global competition that closes in 9 days. And then we will judge you on the materials that you send us. And I want to be clear here, decisions are final. We always get questions around that, but your job right now is to give us the strongest possible application, make the strongest case for you to be a part of this program. Then we will conduct a showcase and be giving out awards at Stockholm World Water Week. There's a bunch more to come on that later in the presentation. And then we'll provide mentorship and accelerator support throughout your deployment process. We are looking this year for up to 6 winners and finalists. In the ScaleUp track, they will be 2 different tracks, and also want to be clear on this, Imagine H2O will be placing you within these tracks. There's nowhere in the application where you will be deciding where that is. The first is ScaleUp track, and we're defining that as companies with a validated solution. Hold on one second. The award will increase the pace of their deployment. We'll award 3 finalists with up to $50K each, including travel stipends for Stockholm World Water Week, and 1 winner with up to an additional $50,000 award. And that winner will be decided specifically on a 1-pager that you will present if you're a finalist around your deployment. Discovery tracks are companies at the validation stage, and there are going to be 3 finalists that will receive travel stipends for SeaWeek, and then 1 winner that will win up to $25,000 in deployment awards. And like the ScaleUp track, that will be decided based off of a 1-pager if you are in the finalists. Okay, and now to run over the benefits. Obviously, deployment funding, we just kind of dug into the details there. And the second are the travel stipends for Stockholm World Water Week. And the third are introductions to our investor network. And I think this is something that is overlooked in the deployment funding. Out of our winners for 2018, they cited that they received an additional $2 million from other investors because of their participation in this program. The second benefit is really around marketing and visibility. I mean, being a part of the Imagine H2O network already gives you some marketing and visibility in and of itself, but then you will be showcased and be an exhibitor at Stockholm World Water Week. You will be showcased at the awards ceremony. There will be sessions around this challenge, as well as exhibition space that you will be a part of. We will also be working on a marketing campaign throughout the year on your progress. So this will include everything from founder profiles and blogs to really videos around your deployment and really showcasing the work that you're doing and being able to shout that to the world. There are also other industry events that Imagine H2O might invite you to be a part of as well. And the third benefit is startup support and acceleration, right? This is what Imagine H2O is all about. We have an amazing network of advisors and mentors that you will get access to. We will be making introductions to end users for you and validation opportunities. This is a key benefit that Imagine H2O is pretty uniquely able to give to you. And so let's get into the applying process. The dates for that application, they opened in May 22nd, and we will be closing June 22nd. I really encourage you, if you haven't already filled out a pre-application, please do that ASAP so that you can access the full application and get going on that immediately. We will be notifying the winners and finalists in early August, and August 15th, winners and finalists will be announced publicly, and then Stockholm World Water Week will be happening that last week in August. So I am just going to quickly move us to the actual application. Hold on one second. Sorry that you're seeing my desktop for just a minute. Okay, so now we're gonna run through the application. So as many of you know, the first step is to sign up for a pre-application. This will be basic information where you're picking your theme, market stage, and anything in the pre-application will be moved over to the full application if it is accepted. We will run through here kind of what is within that in the full application format. So the first is basic information, la da 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 da, my name, title, number of female, describe your technology in 10 words or less. I will pause there because I think describing that in 10 words or less actually takes some time. Think about what that initial impression you want to give, where I could, immediately say to Tom, this is what this company does in 10 seconds.
And I would say, whoa, my God, I can't wait to read the rest of it.
Then you'll be picking your challenge theme, market, stage, clients and funding, IP. Please give us as much information as you can on the IP. That helps us understand kind of where you are in the process. And then we're gonna really dig in here on part one of the elevator pitch. So we really want you to clearly and concisely articulate, why are you interested? We read through a lot of applications and I see that this is kind of a hard point that some applicants do not understand. Really describe to us kind of why should I keep reading? Why am I so interested in you? This is that kind of hook that gets the reader interested and makes us really want to dig into your application. The second is around the investor deck. People seem to struggle here as well. Look,
Kelly, do you mind if I just bounce in on the elevator pitch? If you're not using numbers, like preferably multiple numbers, you should be. Whether that's efficiency gains, whether that's ROI, whether that's the amount of investment raised to date, though that's less important than the performance of your thing. We need to know what you make better and by how much, or how much you think you're going to make it better. Usually what differentiates a good elevator pitch from a bad one is the specifics. Sorry to interrupt you, Kelly, on with the investor deck.
No, Tom has serious knowledge in this, so anything he brings, everyone should be listening to. On the investor deck, this is also something people seem to struggle with. We are sent a lot of times pitch decks that should be used in a presentation with a lot of voiceover. They look very beautiful, it's very minimalist, and that's really, really helpful if you were with us presently. But since this is an online portal, we need more information. Please dig into kind of what is the written basis for your rationale for investing. I think that is where kind of people seem to get led astray on what exactly we're looking at an investor deck. Tom's big comment on this is to always look at Guy, and I'm really bad with names. Let's see if I can do this. Kawasaki, yes. 10 pitch model. This is a really good way of looking at how to make an argument in 10 pitch slide deck. Tom.
And then the only thing that you should ignore is the font size in that. But the 10 slide deck is, you can riff on it, that's fine. But it's a logic that will take you through in 10 slides. It will take you through in 10 slides only. But as Kelly said, just imagine that this is lying on the desk in front of us and we have no other information about you. And this is really the first point of contact with your business. And so if it isn't instantly understandable by the time we get to the end of the 10 slide deck, then you have a problem on your hands.
Absolutely. And please do keep it to 10 slides. Look,
yes.
Like we're asking everyone to do that, so it's not fair to other people. And frankly, we probably won't read post 10 slides.
Yeah, we hate it when we get more than 10 slides.
Yep.
It sucks because you're saying that we should listen to you more than other people who are in the applicant pool. And frankly, that's slightly disrespectful to your fellow applicants.
Yep.
So we actually don't read past 10 slides. So bear that in mind.
Now moving on to the video. We always get a lot of questions here. Look, we're not looking for Hollywood. Like, it's okay. The best ones we've gotten are really filmed on an iPhone. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is that a lot of companies are judged on the founder's ability to communicate. We want to see that you are able to communicate and communicate well. And that can be shown with an easy video on your iPhone.
I would definitely watch out if you find yourself with a video that has stock kind of plinky plonky guitar / kind of piano music behind it. Definitely think twice. I don't know why people do that, but they do. It is both hilarious and slightly off-putting in equal measure.
Yep. Totally agree with that. And also, please don't send us a video of you presenting somewhere else. We actually just like want to see a video of you.
Yep.
Moving on to problem definition. Look, we want to know what problem you are solving for whom, and we need you to be specific here. Please show us that someone's life sucks, whether it be Ruth or Karen or John or Ross. Like, why does their life suck? And give us the data around that. That I interviewed 8 of Ross's and 10 of Karen's, and they all said the same thing. You can back that up with data. It is super helpful for us to understand that this is a real problem versus just a solution in search of a problem. Anything to add there?
Just that it's completely fundamental to the success of businesses in the water sector. You may be you may be inventing, Ford versus the horse, or the Model T versus the horse, but we're in the business of making kind of 80-20 predictions, and one of the best predictors of startup success is the level of pain in the beachhead market.
Yep. And with that, we'll move to solution description. Look, I should have said this at the beginning because it's something that is true within the application. Please read our bullets. We don't just put them there for fun, or we've really thought about them and honed them in. This is especially true here. Like, read the bullets and answer the questions. If you don't do that, you will get points taken away because you're not answering things.
Exactly. And also and this relates to what Kelly said up front about the usefulness of going through this process. Like, these bullets, like, again, as Kelly said, we're not doing this for fun. We're not doing this because, like, these are all the kind of the pieces of information we just want to see, and they're not actually useful to you. These are the things that we think you should be able to articulate because they are absolutely fundamental to that section of your thinking about your startup. Like, please address them, because it's going to force you to go through the mental process of actually articulating what you think about these fundamental elements of how you are planning your business. This is meant to be a practical exercise as much as it is a box ticking one to be able to be a part of the Urban Water Challenge.
Absolutely. And within that solution description, look, if you don't have technical validation yet, we're not going to penalize you for that, but do explain how you are going to get to that validation. If you just say, haven't had any technical validation, we're like, okay, so are they thinking through, like, what are the steps that they need to get there? I think some of the most successful applications have really been like, not there yet, here's who I'm talking to, here's what I'm going to do, and here's how I'm going to get there.
Yeah, in the main accelerator, we had 6 companies that are pre-product this year. It was higher than usual, but actually some of the best applications where people are like, yep, don't know yet, but this is what we have so far, and this is how we're going to fill in the rest of the gaps.
Yep. And deployments, what this challenge is all about. Please make sure you take a hard look at section 6. Deployment is very, very important through this process for us. So describe what your validation targets are. If you don't know those, describe where they could be and why. In the pilot scope, if you can please include as much data and get as specific as possible. Where are you in those discussions? How will you get to there in those discussions? And then the impact side of it. Look, this challenge is about impact. It's about the move towards sustainable development goals. So please show us that you thought through what metrics would be important and how you will track those metrics over time. In moving into the beachhead market, also a focus area here. Primary data is encouraged. It is encouraged here. It's about the logical selection of target markets to build an initial customer base. This isn't your total customer base by any means, and it's not where your market could go, but it's that kind of initial focus area of kind of, this is what we're targeting, this is what we know we can own right now. And that could be anywhere from like $100 million to $500 million. It just doesn't have to be that big answer. We have a $2 billion market. It's like, well, I don't know how you're going to attack that $2 billion market. So please be specific here.
And one extra thing about this notion of focus, everybody always wants to demonstrate that they have like 1 million tons of optionality, that there are about 1 zillion places that they could go. Actually, people who do the work of telling us exactly where they're going to focus and actually closing off that optionality is much, much more impressive, because we know how hard it is to do. to be able to have the strength of mind to have done the work to understand actually where you are going to focus your efforts, and by implication, where you're not going to focus your efforts, is one of the things that entrepreneurs find hardest. And then the second corollary of that is that the more you are able to do that, like you are a startup, you only have a limited amount of time, energy, hours in the day, whatever, to be able to do whatever work it is. If you spread that thinly, it's not going to be very deep. The more that you can focus it, the more that you can really, really make sure that you are executing as well as you possibly can, and it's a really, really good indicator of future success.
Yep. Go-to-market plan. We really want to understand that you understand the customer discovery process. So how do they get new stuff into their hands? What are the value propositions that you will use that you know may resonate? Like, these are the important things that you need to be able to answer. And with channel strategy, many people go direct, but if you don't and you use a hybrid approach, please just explain why and justify that to us so we can understand it. And then sales cycles. This is a funny one. Any other accelerator seeing a 12-month sales cycle would literally freak out and you'd be eliminated.
Yeah.
We completely understand why it's a 12-month sales cycle, but please explain kind of how do you know that that's the sales cycle? Have you tested it? Like, have you talked to people? And then how do you plan to reduce that sales cycle over time?
Or just manage it, right?
Yeah, or manage it.
Some of these sales cycles are just the law of the universe. We work in water, we get it. You know, just because somebody at Y Combinator would jump out of a window, it doesn't mean that we will.
Probably means Tom will jump in the window.
Yeah, I will. I'll be like, yes! I love it when they manage 12-month sales cycles. This is great.
And now we're moving into another issue where people start to get a little weird.
Yeah.
Economics. So
that's weird.
Look, number one, make sure you use our template. We've structured it and simplified it on purpose.
Please use our template.
Yep. We understand and we know that many of your projections are going to be a lie. You have people with finance background on this team who probably can see that very, very quickly. So
we all know that spreadsheets are fiction.
So let's not get too caught up there. What we really do want you to think about is number one, pricing. Number two, your ROI, and number three, your customer acquisition. Those are the kind of three focus areas that we want to see that you understand how your business is going to run.
And so it's the ROI to the customer, but then through the medium of the margin, what's the ROI to you?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's fine. You're going to show us hockey sticks. Totally get it. That's absolutely all right. Everything goes up and to the right, because if it didn't, it would be quite weird expectations for your business. But please don't get hung up with, like, you know, not being able to break down SG&A into your constituent parts. But I'm going to say it again, is that if you upload your, like, normal financial model because you think it makes you look better, it doesn't. It makes you look like you don't. It makes you look like you don't listen.
Or you don't know what you're doing and don't understand it, so that's just the model you're using.
Yeah, you're not able to translate it into something simpler.
Yep. It's a lot there, but now we move to risk assessment. Look, we've had people fill it out being like, there are no real risks to us.
Yeah.
Or these really broad risks, like glaciers are melting.
Yeah.
Please be specific. What risks are real to your business? Like, these are things that you guys need to be thinking about all the time. We think about them all the time. So if you list one kind of lofty risk, like, we're going to dig down and talk to each other about the 10 really specific risks that you're not thinking about. And then we're going to worry, wait, have they not thought about this at all? So please get specific there. Really identify them. If you don't, it'll count against you. Team. Awesome team. Show us that this is the team that can execute on the plans that you've given us. Look, I want the backgrounds. I love that. But, like, why is this team the right team to solve this problem? If you can't explain that, then no one's going to trust kind of in your momentum and in your strategy. Please tell us that. And also tell us kind of openly, like, look, we really need someone to come in on this side of things. We're looking for someone to help us here. Also, key advisors are important. Often people leave the key advisors out of it. We want to know who those people are that are helping you think through your strategy and thinking through the business. And finally, accelerator consideration. Please let us know. Are you interested in participating in that next year? I mean, who wouldn't want to work with Tom for 8 to 9 months?
Well, maybe you've revised your decision after this webinar. I don't know.
So we're gonna move out of the follow-up emails. Hold on.
But seriously, with the Accelerator, if you check that box, your application is just going to be moved into the Accelerator application form, which means that you're like to update it for what we're doing for the Accelerator will probably only take you about 25 minutes and also get you behind the paywall for the Accelerator. So even if you're kind of tangentially thinking about it, then please do add. All I would say is that for the 2020 Accelerator, you have to be founded after January the 1st, 2015. You have to be doing less than 5 million in revenue, and you have to have taken on less than $10 million in investment. Usually the cutoff is only the date thing, but please do bear that in mind that the eligibility details for the Accelerator are different than for the other water challenge.
Great point. Urban Water Challenge, much more open.
Yes.
So we kind of went through all these steps of building a successful water startup, and the different elements are, all these 7 elements are included within the application. And then there's clear focus for us around deployments. Do not forget that. That's very, very important through this process. So what are our key tips? Think, then write. Don't just give us your stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
While I love reading about that, it doesn't always give us the most articulate answers.
Yeah.
Okay, bullets are your friends. Reading paragraph after paragraph is really tiring, and I start to wonder, is this really the point? Do I need this? Bullets can be really helpful in helping you frame and outline what your thoughts are. I want to reiterate this because people freak out about it, but production values in the videos don't matter. iPhone is your friend here. Jargon also kills most of the time. Look, a lot of people reading your application have tech backgrounds, but then you have a lot of people with business backgrounds as well. If you can't explain your product without really getting into nitty-gritty on the tech side, then it usually means you don't totally understand it and you can't explain it.
Yeah. So the way we think about this is that you know, if you chart level of understanding versus simplicity of explanation, it kind of looks like a bell curve. When you don't understand it, you can't explain it complicatedly. If you are sort of halfway through properly kind of understanding it, you still have to rely on the crutch of the jargon. We get that there is technical language you have to use, but just think about the grandmother test. In most cases, if this isn't something your grandmother could understand, then yeah, you just need to keep working on simplifying the explanation.
Yeah, the grandma test, we'll call it.
The grandma test.
Data matters, guys. We've said this multiple times, but please give us specifics. If it's, you know, like how much could it reduce? Tell us the base. And also, too, with that, these are kind of work together. What is the baseline? If you tell us that you can find X contaminants, okay, great. But like, what is that versus? So how many more contaminants is that? Oh, we can reduce this by this. Okay, well, can someone else reduce that the same? Or is this substantially different than what is already out there?
Really what you're looking for is, you know, there's like people are going to really take something off your hands if you're 10x better or 10x cheaper. Very rarely do you find people who are actually 10x better or 10x cheaper, but like what we're looking for is that you've thought about the level to which you are better in the context of the decision-making process of the customer that you are approaching.
Great. Tom, I'm going to let you take segmentation.
Segmentation is crucial. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Now, it's actually on the application, but we want you to remember the definition of a segment. And so a segment is, I just said this in front of a group of people in Denver on Monday. So a segment is a group of people that speak to each other, that share a similar pain point and experience that pain so acutely that they are willing and able to pay for an imperfect solution now to solve at least some of that pain. There you go. That's segmentation. You need to identify a group that fits that criteria, and if you do, oh boy, oh, are you going to be, well, girl, obviously, you're going to be ahead of the game.
You nailed that.
Thanks. Thanks. It's tattooed on my brain.
And the last thing we want you to be clear on is be specific about your deployments. We've already gotten a question from Kyla around, do we just need to list location or should we list more information? If you can list more information, that's going to help you out in the process. We understand that a lot of this maybe is, you know, confidential and you can't, but the more you can list, the better, because then that shows that you can actually get this deployment done. Okay. So look, any questions at all throughout this process, please contact me. I'm always here to help. I'm always here to answer questions. I'm sure Tom would be as well, but you can flood questions through me. We're really, really excited about the Urban Water Challenge this year. We think that there could be amazing, amazing deployments that can happen from this. So please let me know. Yeah. And please join us. Now we're gonna get into the questions. Again, please put them into the question box and we will answer accordingly.
So going to the first.
Going to the first, as I told you, I'm bad with names. I'm gonna try this out, Amit. It looks like your question is very specific.
You don't have a price point yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, the question is basically like Amit's early. And is just trying to kind of figure it out at the moment. There are 3 possible market verticals that they would go to, different use cases, and various price points is there. How do I complete the financial model? Just choose, like, what makes sense to you. At the moment, just take the one or multiple or however you want to cook it. Like if you're going to choose multiple markets and multiple price points at this stage, like we're going to think you're nuts. So like, I would say choose a vertical market, choose a price point, build out the model for that, for the progression of your pathway through those markets over time, and then see what the financial model spits out. But if you come to us with 3 possible markets and 3 possible price points throughout the application, you're not going to get very far.
Yeah, and I think there's a section in there where you can explain why you picked that price point and how you validated that willingness to pay.
Yep.
Hopefully that answers your question.
And okay, so that one at section 6.
All right, we already answered that. Okay, Ian, we have another question from Ian Howard around the deployments. So he is asking, are you looking for specific customers or geographic regions or both? Ideally both. But if it's a region, then you just need to explain why. And if it's a specific customer, then that's really great for us.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, as Kelly said, basically the more information, kind of the better. But don't worry about it too much. As long as we understand, like, you know, where you're going to sell it and to who, like, you know, it's all right. But just make sure it's urban. I have a feeling we're going to have quite a lot going on that is maybe not quite as urban as we thought it was going to be. Okay. So this one, yeah, we get this all the time. What if segmentation is national? National is too big. So the country has acute water scarcity. It's not the country that's going to pay you. Maybe the government will pay you, but then we want to know exactly who within the country or government is the person with their pen hovering over the check. I want you to go all the way to the National Disaster Relief Purchasing Manager. But if you tell me that, you know, the nation of whatever, Cambodia is like, yeah, our beachhead market is Cambodia. No, your beachhead market is not Cambodia. Your beachhead market is a specific subset of customers that are going to buy the thing off you. Like if you go wide enough, this is basically an exercise in like trying to be as useful you can, like to yourself. The most common start to all of the pitch decks is 2.1 billion people on Earth do not have access to clean water and sanitation. Like, it's a tragedy, but it is completely unhelpful to you and us, okay? Like, we need the specifics of exactly who you're going to sell this thing to first, okay? Kevin, I hope that makes sense and is not bad news.
And just to also go on that 2.1 billion point, like, we have seen that so many times I would probably drop that from your presentation device.
Yes, I definitely drop that to your presentation. Just remember who you're talking to. Like in all of these things, we actually have look on our blog. Well, in follow up to this, we've got a couple of useful articles about writing and applying and and all the rest of it. Just remember who your audience is. Like we're not new to the water thing, and so you can level yourself up like a reasonable amount actually. But the people who are able to level themselves up a reasonable amount without resorting to jargon are the most impressive. Okay, so you don't need to start from zero, but like just bear that in mind. But yeah, I'll include those links in the follow up.
Great, Aaron. It looks like that we have a question around that his screen looked different around registration. That's most likely because there hasn't been a pre-application yet. Remember to pre-apply, and then your screen will look different. It'll have only a few of those questions that we reviewed. And then once you pre-apply, then you can get accepted and see the full application.
The reason we do that is that when people apply with some kind of smart irrigation solution, we need to say the clue is in the word urban.
Yeah.
All right. So the question is municipal water conservation and/or data analytics for water utilities part of the challenge? I didn't see that in the initial three categories. Yes, as long as those water utilities are urban water utilities.
And as I think that brings a broader point of the themes are, general themes to go by, like all the specific things underneath are just kind of a start. They don't have to list every single thing.
Yeah.
And the focus, again, urban.
So this is an interesting question. Can the location of the project deployments be geographically spread like 10,000 homes in 10 urban areas?
Yes.
Yep.
Definitely.
You have a deployment grant, you can do whatever you like.
Yep.
We have, the people who were deploying with our grants from last year doing so in multiple urban areas. Good
and
point.
Yeah, it's a great point. And you'll just have to split the grant up accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just want to see how you're doing that. How many applicants to date?
Ooh, Arthur.
There are 100, and I think as of this morning, 55 applicants.
Yep. We think we actually put our bets on the board yesterday. Nimesh thinks we're going to get 202. I think we're going to get 190. Kelly thinks we're going to get 175.
I think I'm low now.
Yeah.
And we should be. We want to see the applications. Please don't let that scare you off by any means.
Don't let it scare you off. A lot of these are going to be, if you do kind of a reasonably good job and follow everything that we say on this applicant webinar, you are going to be in a good position.
Plus, you want to get into our system as you can.
Mm-hmm. So this question, and then Kelly, you answer it. We have proven demand through completed sales and signed channel partners, but no empirical market research to back it up. Problem? Oliver, good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. Not necessarily.
No.
There's a lot of people that don't do the market research angle. They really focus on commercialization, and that's okay by us. It does matter probably what type of technology it is.
Yeah.
And that's probably the only caveat there.
It also depends on stage. So Oliver, you either lived this problem or you got lucky. So if you haven't been able to do kind of market research, but have still got sales and signed channel partners and all the rest of it, and you have validated demand, that's fine. We're not just looking for interview results for the sake of interview results. What we're looking for is validated demand and validated market insight. Like great entrepreneurship is about the systematic retirement of assumptions. And if you've got completed sales and signed channel partners, it looks like you are retiring commercial assumptions. That's great. But a good way to retire assumptions early is to go and speak to your customers, and a vanishingly small proportion of you actually do.
And if you are that person that was the person experiencing the pain point, please let us know that immediately. It's very helpful. Yeah.
It's very powerful.
Should we be incorporated? Yes, you should be incorporated.
Yeah. I mean, you can. Well, tell me if it's wrong, different with this in terms of the terms, because with the accelerator, you only have to be incorporated at the start of the accelerator at January the 1st. Basically, if you get selected, incorporate really fast. Basically, if you're not yet incorporated, you're gonna have to hit the gas. So, well, in the States, Kieran, I don't know where you are, but if you're in the States, you can incorporate in less than 3 days. So.
Yeah, and that will be August for the Urban Water Challenge. We have a question around only filling out half the financial form. I think that in reality, you should be able to fill out the financial form in full. The only caveat here is maybe if you're not there yet, you could do projections around it.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there'll absolutely be projections. You may not know, but like, you know, hopefully just the exercise of going through, you know, maybe what would the world look like if our, you know, gross margin was X and our EBITDA margin was Y and our ROI was, you know, this and all the rest of it. Like, if you can't at least do your best guess, you probably want to be further along in your market research than you are at the moment. Just at least give it a crack.
Yeah.
It looks weird when you haven't done all of it because it really is very simple.
Yeah.
Stephen Cortez.
I like your comment, Stephen. Glad you know water.
Stephen says, also so refreshing that you guys know water. Well, yes, indeed. Okay, Oliver. Okay.
Okay, this is a good question actually because Anastasia is asking. She has a 12-page slide deck. Would it be acceptable, or should I reduce it to 10 slides? We want you to reduce it to 10 slides. Yes, the bottom line. Please. Like we're asking that. That's going to be the baseline for everyone, and that really matters.
Just one thing that I will say is that it's 10 slides of meaningful content. Yep. All right. The cover slide and the closing slide that says, thank you, here's my email address. And the opening slide that says, here is my logo and, you know, investor presentation and Urban Water Challenge and all the rest of it. Like, it's 10 slides of content. If you have 12 slides, including an opening and a closing slide, then that's okay. But if it's 12 slides of content, you are going to incur our wrath.
Yeah.
Kieran, yeah, thanks very much. That's why the advantage of having a Brit kicking you out. Or an Irishman, I suppose. Sorry, Kieran, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I mean, Aquifers can be an urban solution. Oh, sorry. The question is, if the solution saves depletion of aquifers, is this considered urban solution?
Yep.
It definitely can be, as urban people.
Just go and ask the population of Delhi.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Aquifer depletion is a major urban issue. Thank you very much for that. So one more that's come in from Dan Starling. Do you keep our application answers confidential? I ask as past incubator participants are competitors. Thanks. This is a really good question. We are big believers in, do you mind if I?
Yeah, Tom, go for this.
Sorry.
With the history.
So we are big believers in incentive structures. And if we went around kind of sharing application details with either competitors or other people in the market and saying, blah, 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 by the way, this is how, you know, XYZ emerging companies are doing this, like people would talk about us and our reputation as an organization and our ability to attract the biggest and best, you know, technical talent and commercial talent would vaporize pretty much overnight because word gets around. All application answers are confidential. Now, I do say this with one caveat, is that if you name an advisor, we think it's within our rights, if we know them, to be able to say, hey, I see you're an advisor to this crew, XYZ, you know, what's your take? If they're an advisor, their take is going to be positive. We do not think that this is something that's kind of like underhand. And I bring that up because I did that the other day, and then the advisor turned around and said, advisor to who? No, I am not an advisor to them. So essentially they got busted lying on their application and immediately got removed from consideration. But otherwise, anything around the technical or the go-to-market or the performance or the ROI or whatever it is, we're not going to talk to anybody. But we don't sign NDAs.
Nope, and
it would take all of our time.
Also realize it's not just Imagine H2O, it is the judging panel that will be have access to this. And I think this brings around a broader point that we've actually just recently brought up around, don't lie on your application. Please don't do it. Like it looks so bad and like it's just not useful at all.
And the more you don't lie on your application, i.e. the more honest you are about, you know, even kind of the bad bits of this, the more attractive you are. I mean, you're all entrepreneurs. One of the most exhausting things about entrepreneurship is having to constantly interact with people whose constant refrain about their companies is, I'm crushing it, it's going amazingly, oh, it's unbelievable, we're knocking it out of the park every day.
We're going to be a unicorn.
We're going to be a unicorn. You know, rather than I'm in a startup and I constantly feel as if my world is going to fall apart. And I know which one is true. All right, like being a startup is a never-ending knife fight in a phone box. And the more honest you are with us, the more honest we know you're going to be with your stakeholders. The more honest you are, you're going to be with your team. It's just, it's a really good indicator of people who are seeing the world as it is, not how it could be, and frankly, of people that we want to work with. Yeah, don't think that the best policy is to say, you know, I don't have any risks, because you do.
Yep.
Okay, so do we want to quickly just have a look at this? So I mean, you've got the slightly more granular element in terms of the addressable markets. I think it's probably best for us to connect offline about this, but what we said previously still applies. That if you've got multiple markets and multiple price points, how do you build your financial model? Essentially, it's simple, like multiplication and addition according to your rollout plan. But just please focus on one market for the purposes of the this program.
The capital intensive hard tech. We got a question around, would a capital intensive hard tech, I mean over $2 million, be a good match for this challenge? It's a tough one because capital intensive products, we work with them all the time in water and they are important. However, if you are not able to deploy this project in the next 12 months or really get started and make a lot of progress on that deployment, that's where it's not a great fit.
Yeah. I mean, Kobe, we know, we know you and love what you're doing, and I'd be more than happy to have a conversation after this. You know, in the best case scenario, what happens with the capital intensive element is that, you know, you guys come to the Urban Water Challenge, the deployment awards, you know, you're able to then leverage them to get, you know, more of it, or it kind of brings you into the field of vision of a funder, or existing funders see this as a stamp of approval from outside and they go for it, or, you know, potential obviously deploying partner sees it and goes for it. It's just one of those things, like, you know, how useful is the kind of deployment funding for you versus like how much of a lift would you know, updating the you know, the application be for you. But for those of you with really capital intensive, you know, large check size solutions, you know, we're more than happy. These are slightly more nuanced discussions that we are more than willing to have. Oh, yeah, on the knife fight in a phone box. That's actually not that quote. That is not mine. That's a guy called Brent Bishaw, who runs an amazing company in Missouri called Adventures, or adventure.es. Yeah, knife fight in a phone box. It's pretty elucidatory, isn't it? It's a little bit overly violent. But man, yeah, I mean, we're only 5, about to be 6 people, and often like our lives feel like that. So you know, that works. Okay, I mean, thank you. This really helps. So we've come to the, well, I mean, you know, we
can stay here and answer questions for the next few minutes, but it looks like there's no way. Great final question for us, Stephen.
Yeah. Just one thing. So
yeah,
while we're answering this, if you have another question,
put it in. Your
time is running out, because after we finish answering this, we're going to give you a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and give you 10 minutes of your lives back. So Kelly, go for it.
So he's asking, I know will the recording and deck be available and posted? Yes, the recording will be available and the recording within the deck, but we're probably not going to post the actual deck from this session.
We're certainly not going to post it online.
Yeah.
If you like really want to have just the deck as well, I mean, I don't see, given that you have the overview, I don't quite see how useful the actual deck will be, but it's not, at least not any kind of like additive or differentiated kind of information. So I mean, I would be happy to provide it to the group that's here, if that would be helpful. But yeah, certainly refer back to this, and then as we say, we'll be providing the links to like a couple of the blogs. A couple of the blogs that we've had posted for a while that remain pretty useful. Kevin.
Great, Kevin. So how many people from each firm get to travel to Stockholm? That's dependent on your choice with the travel stipend that you receive. It will likely be around that $3,500 mark.
Yep.
So kind of up to you and what you guys feel comfortable with, and Airbnbs and hotels, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely up to you. But you can either have one person use all of that stipend, or you can have 3 people you have part of their travel paid for by that stipend.
Yes, but for the exhibition passes, that will be 1 per team.
Okay, John.
We're looking for your question.
We're looking for your question now. Apparently, we didn't get an answer. Can the location of the project deployment be geographically spread like 10,000 homes in 10 urban areas? We did answer that. The answer is yes. Okay. Multiple locations.
Great. So we are going to do a final countdown for questions. These have been great so far. So anything else, please let us know.
Any more? We'll be looking at the list. We're going to go for a
5,
and a
4,
and a
3,
2,
1. All right.
Hey, you get 7 minutes of your lives back.
Thank you again for joining us today. We're super excited to get digging into these applications, and have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Goodbye now.
Peace and love.